Thank you for
Hey,
being here,
everybody.
Wyatt.
Thank you for having me, Wendy.
For sure. I'm going to give IG one more try, and then if it doesn't happen, it's just not happening there today.
Okay.
Let me give you a little introduction to Wyatt. So I'm joined by Wyatt, a platinum-selling songwriter, producer, and classically trained multi-instrumentalist, known for crafting earworm melodies with a soulful edge and a distinctive lyrical flair. Credits for global artists like BTS, Jin, NCT Dream, ENHYPEN, RIIZE or RIIZE?
RIIZE.
RIIZE, okay, I don't mess that up. Diplo, Trippie Redd, Travis Barker. His songs have contributed to millions of records sold worldwide. Did you just hit a billion?
The Jin song is 750 million on Spotify, so
Incredible.
we're creeping up on it. Thank you.
Yeah, you are. It's incredible. Um, Wyatt's drawing inspiration from greats like Paul McCartney, Stevie Wonder, Elton John, blending nostalgia with compositionally rich arrangements, delivering pop that's both musically layered and instantly memorable. And what I love about Wyatt is not just what he's achieved, but how he's stayed connected to his creative truth while navigating massive rooms and global success. Wyatt is a Compass alum, and today we're going to talk about clarity and alignment and what it takes to trust your inner compass, especially when the stakes are high. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Wendy. I'm excited to dive into it.
Oh, for sure. I think that when being a songwriter, your whole life is in every song you write, all
Mhm.
of you, and then some. And I know that we talk about numbers. I mean, social media talks about numbers. Everything's, it's always been numbers, right? Billboard charts,
Mhm.
whatever. When I think about songwriting, I think about how there are songs that generations know. And Somewhere Over the Rainbow. When I saw Leonard Cohen at Madison Square Garden, there were 4 generations in the room,
Wow.
right? There were 4 different generations in that space, all of us crying and like applauding. And so I think that songwriting is such a magical experience. As a songwriter, it's magical to go from nothing, a blank page, an idea, and then production. It comes to life like a garden growing. It like literally just comes up off the floor. It's like you're creating alchemy.
Oh,
And
yeah.
to create something that when we talk about those numbers, for me, it's that you're touching so many people and that it lives on well beyond your own lifetime. That's a legacy. That is a meaningful life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's your work becomes, more than you. It takes on its own life. It's immortal in a sense, and I
Yes.
think it's you're tapping into some kind of just distinct truth that is resonating. It's like that's why you feel like you got to touch on these broad things, maybe when you first get into writing, but it's like the more descript and niche and like specific you get, like you paint the picture of that room, and someone's like, oh, you know what, like I haven't been in that room, but I know that feeling.
Yes. It's the feeling.
Yeah.
It is absolutely the feeling. It's like yeah, I 100% agree. I say it to people like cliches. If you're writing a cliche, you're just avoiding vulnerability.
Yeah.
And people think, oh, but if I say, oh, I had my heart was broken, people will get it. I'm like, but it's so general, it means nothing. But if you tell us how
Oh,
your heart
yeah.
broke and that you walked in on him with your best friend, or we're all gonna go, oh,
Yeah,
I
it's
know what the
not, we don't want to be told the thing. We want to see the thing, all the things. Oh, I couldn't get out of bed. I had the blinds drawn till 6 p.m. Like I looked at my breakfast and it went cold. All the things that make up the feeling,
Yeah,
suddenly are the things that are resonating, like that thing for me,
yes,
like
definitely.
someone I've never met writes a song, like Bridge Over Troubled Water. It's like I never met them, but it's like it rings true all these decades later. Like that's the incredible thing about it. It's like, can you tap into that niche? And I think the amazing thing about Compass was exploring that in so many different avenues, you know, with the visuals, with the archetypes, with everything, all the things that are like a choice that we don't realize are choices, you know, that play a part in just the whole equation.
I love that. Like looking at choices you don't realize are choices.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Alicia Keys talked about it in her book and just said that she slowly lost herself choice by choice and didn't realize she was losing herself. And
Wow.
that is it. Right? Like, oh, I keep making choices, and along the way, like, whether you may not even be doubting them when you made them. You're like, oh, I think I'm making it for this reason and that reason and that reason and that reason. And for me, compass is going back so that the reason is always aligned with your what thrills you, what is true to you. And so the choices are very clear because you're like, yes, this is true to me. Yes, this feels great to me. Not, um, oh, my audience likes this, that algorithm bubble is responding to it. My team thinks that's the best song. My audience will like this. It's always
Well,
great.
I think there's so many things that, you know, as an artist or a writer, or, you know, that maybe from the outside, you know, or just without having full context, you don't clock as being so important to part of your voice and your narrative, and, you know, all down to like what font you're using, you know, what color palette, what clothes you're wearing, clocking, you know, which kind of tropes am I falling into, you know, just like all these things that dictate, you know, consciously and subconsciously how someone responds, even how we respond. You know,
Yeah.
it's like if I've created this world, you know, whether for me or for someone else, with the music, and everything else doesn't line up, there's a disconnect,
Yeah.
you
That's right.
know? So it's like building a giant boat and you don't have any sails or a motor, you know? So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I
it's
love that.
and I think like the more it's kind of like you don't realize how important these things are and all these choices you're making without even knowing it until you kind of gain the frame of reference, you know. I know like for compass, like the archetype thing really uh kind of clicked in a big way for me, and also just like the parts of influences from like my Mount Rushmore, if you will, of like artists that I was taking beyond the music, you know, that I didn't even realize, oh, this is why I lean into like these kinds of clothes, or these kinds of you know, album covers, or, you know, fonts, or whatever, like these lush color, whatever it is. It's like all these things that like when you realize they all, you know, are the it's all the sum of everything. It's not just
Yeah.
like the music and like these little things, like it's not the sprinkles on top, it's like it's the whole sundae, you know.
Yes. That's
So
the whole concept. You know you're a songwriter because we got
yeah.
analogies coming out the window. I love
Can't
it.
help
They're
it.
all pouring in.
Yeah.
I've had vocal students tell me that. They're like, Wendy has, I used to have it. Now I had in New York, I had a painting behind me. And
Mhm.
one of my artists said, Wendy had this painting behind her and it turned into a million things. Like every session, it would be an analogy for something else. But
Well,
it
you don't
made
even
sense.
think about it,
Totally
you know.
understand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. So this concept, I want to ask you, Desmond Child, the songwriter, producer, like
Hmm.
insane, right? He
Incredible.
talked
Yeah.
about what's that?
I said incredible.
Yeah, incredible. He talked about it. I work with Desmond, and he talked about in his book that uh, he's very good at seeing the archetypes of the artist he works with, and therefore writing stories that really match who they are. Have you
Mm.
found your compass work as a writer and producer informing you when you're working with someone?
Yeah, I think so much of it, something that I really struggled with that I didn't clock to a full extent, I think, before Compass, was just how split so many things were. Like if
Mm.
it was like it was almost like things were in a square, and it's like songwriter Wyatt was in one corner, artist Wyatt was
Mm.
in one corner, you know, like visual Wyatt was over here, and it's like, you know, something like Compass kind of turns it more into a circle where it's like everything is flowing. It's like there were blocks in the streams, you know? And I just feel like recognizing and acknowledging how much everything feeds into everything, you know, and that like my voice is my voice, whether someone else is performing it or whether I'm performing it. And going into a room, I guess with that truth, it allows me to kind of tap into what the artist is going through as if it were for my project, because
Yeah,
they're all the same level of importance at that at that point.
I love that.
So I think just finding the synchronicity between all of it, and kind of removing those blocks and removing, oh, this only counts for artist, this only counts for songwriter, because you're at that point you're robbing yourself of accomplishments in some regards, and just you're trying to do things with more arms than you have, when it really is a lot simpler than you give it credit, if you just let
Or
those
in many
things
ways,
be connected.
you're allowing your discarding part of yourself to be a lesser part version of yourself and going, oh, well,
Yeah,
I can't be that now. So you're kind of always a lesser part of yourself by separating them, as opposed to, oh, all of Wyatt is showing up as the producer, all of Wyatt shows up as the artist, all of Wyatt shows up here. And you give what you need, what you're giving, or you're being of service in the way you are in different ways, but it's still all you.
absolutely. You remove those artificial boundaries,
Yeah.
it's like if I'm only producer Wyatt today, and that's only 25% of me, instead of just Wyatt showing up in the room with 100% of me, it's like that's a big difference.
It's different.
Yeah.
I think it's a huge difference of like confidence and flexibility
Hmm.
um and the minute we think about this like with shame or a secret, the minute you are hiding a part of yourself or keeping a part of yourself locked up, you are locking up other parts of yourself unintentionally.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you're creating those blocks.
Yeah. So if you're like, nope, all of me gets to show up, we just you get so much more that you didn't expect, and you're going to be able to show up in ways you didn't imagine. Like, oh, I opened my mouth because I could.
Hmm.
Um, Let me ask you some questions that I've got on the table here, and I love
Sure.
this. As we do, I love the free flow. It's awesome.
Hmm.
Um, you joined Compass at a point where your career was working. At that time, and you may have touched upon it with this, but what felt misaligned or unfinished that made you say, yeah? Like, what kind of clarity were you looking for?
I mean, kind of, a big part of what we just talked about, I think just the disconnect, both in how I'm showing and how I was showing up, and just in terms of aspirations, like my creative life existed in separate boxes instead of like one cohesive vision. Like the different parts weren't talking to each other. Like I was resisting everything being one voice that could be collectively louder. And
Mm,
I think Compass kind of helped push those corners in, and making it, like I said, one big circle where everything flows, instead of where everything is kind of like this part of me is gravity's pulling it down here or down there or up there. And I think it just it removed those blocks, and instead of things being in a box, it's a full spectrum.
I love this. I went to see Kandinsky today. I went to see a show in a museum of.
Nice.
Yeah, he's really one of my favorite artists. And if you like Kandinsky, I also recommend looking up Hilga af Klint,
Hmm.
who was discovered 100 years after her death because she said her work couldn't be shown until 100 years after her death.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot to that story. It's really remarkable. But basically, she said, "I'm a woman, and no one's gonna get into understand what I do or be supportive of it. I need all
Wow.
my work to be seen together." And she was very into the spiritual world, her spiritual world. She held seances, and she said, "My work is going to be shown." I'm going to paraphrase what I remember, but my work will be shown in a sanctuary that will be built for it, and it will be a sanctuary for like a temple for art.
Mm.
Her work was shown at the Guggenheim, which was built for Kandinsky, and the man who built it said, I say the man who built it. I should get the name because he's a world famous architect. And I love that that museum. Guggenheim Archive. There we go. Yes, it was Frank Lloyd Wright. Hello. So I'm, like, literally, I love Frank Lloyd Wright, and when I want a name, my brain just goes,
Yeah.
ha ha, I can't find it. So Frank Lloyd Wright built it, and he said, 60 years later, that he was building a sanctuary, like a temple for art.
Wow.
And yes, so this is really remarkable. Why did I bring Kandinsky up? Because you're talking about this full circle, that everything is cohesive, everything is one. So Kandinsky was really influenced by music and composition, symphony. He wrote a symphony. I did not know, but I found this out today. He actually wrote productions to be staged. That only one was staged, but he had set design, he had stories. They were non-psychological, they were abstract stories, and he had synesthesia.
Wow.
So his colors were, when he would hear the symphony, he would see the colors.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and just to show you, like this expression of this story of his life really showed how all of him was put together in his art, and it led to his abstract, which is what he's really well known for now. Like all of this, my music, my love of music, and how does this play out in art? How does the music play out in color? There was it was like a small piano, but it was a huge box, and so when you played it, out the other side was a projector, and color was playing. He created the art portion of it, and it was like, so again, this concept of like, oh, all of you is all of you in all the art you make.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and all of it is, absolutely connected. Like this was his influence. This music was his influence. And
wow.
yeah,
and it's not blocking out those parts because, oh well, I'm
that's right.
I'm an artist, I can't do this. I think it's removing those boundaries and removing also expectation. Expectation can be so limiting. If
these were designs for stage plays.
Oh, no kidding. Wow.
That's the actual set right there.
Wow.
Like that's what the stage would look like. Isn't that remarkable?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's really cool.
And I think that sometimes capitalism, makes people think like, oh, well, I want to have, a clothing line. Maybe it's capitalism for some people, and for other people, it's like, I'm thoroughly into fashion. Here's his music and painting coming together.
Wow.
Yeah. And he had a piece in there. I don't know if I took a picture of it. This is his art, like in motion. They're moving. And if you look at it, you can, number one, I really do see music, and you can see like notes and movements.
Movement, like the dynamics of a piece or like a phrase.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then he did a piece with dance. Did I grab the video of this? Where's the video? Oh, yeah. So see if it starts it. He did this piece where he took photographs of dancers and then illustrated them.
That's really nice.
Yeah. And dance and music, the body is the instrument.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, I just love that it was so intertwined. And then it led to, like I said, his very abstract work. And he was always in pursuit of,
incredible.
It's just stellar.
Wow. That's so cool you got to see that.
Oh yeah, exactly, in person. And he was in pursuit of the spiritual. It was really following the emotion, soul, and a spiritual path. And again, if you see Hilga's work, they really land in this very similar place, and he's known as the birth of abstract art. And then when she was discovered, it was like, oh, actually, she might be, because she was a little before him. They were at the same time.
She was just hiding.
Well, I think that it's, I think of that. Yes, it was. She was hiding. I think of it as like that collective consciousness where, I mean, they were in pursuit of similar passions and exploring the spiritual world, and they landed in a similar space, which is just remarkable. And even when you watch his work and like the color, how the color changed, and it's closer to her color scheme when they got there. It's just really very remarkable.
I mean,
So that was my
it's
question of
incredible. I
that
mean, I really think,
stillness.
you know, we are all gravitating towards, you know, very similar energies. Like we're almost like, especially as creatives, we're like antennas almost. We're picking up on this. It's like the more you can let go of you know, boxes of expectations of whatever, and just allow yourself to receive those things and have it be your interpretation of that. It's like there's a reason why they never met, and you're seeing these similarities. Why people now, like you said, people go see Leonard Cohen, 4 generations of people are all gravitating towards the same things. You know, it's when you find a way to kind of get into that flow state, you know, whatever you want to call it. I mean, there's a reason why people are around the world are tapping into this, whether or not they know the language. You know,
Yes.
it's the interconnectedness, just that frequency. You know, that's what it all is.
Love that. How has your decision making shifted? Like what you say yes to, what you pass on, how you shape a song from the first, like has Compass affected that? Like your choices and how you make your
I
choices?
I think it helps me say yes or no to things with more confidence that maybe align or don't align. You know, finding more fulfillment in more kind of branches.
Mm,
Um, Viewing, you know, like I said, kind of my creativity as just different extensions of the same, like different branches of the same tree, you
yeah.
know? So it's easier to close off to things in one sense if you are so, you know, compartmentalized, but also it's easier to maybe say yes to something that doesn't make sense. So I think
Mm.
it's helped inform me more just across the
What have you
board.
said yes to that like surprised you? Like you're like, I said yes to this thing, which in the past I would not have.
I mean, just maybe having more open mindedness with like sessions that maybe I wouldn't be as comfortable going into in the past.
Mhm.
Whereas now it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe it's not something I'm super comfortable with, but it's like I can see what they're doing, you know, and I think I can find a way to tap into this.
Oh, I love that.
In the same
That's
way that
huge.
it's like now, like, you know what? Like genre is not real at this point. It's like, you know, you can't say, oh, I don't like country music or I don't like whatever because you just haven't heard this country song that's resonated with you or the reggae song that's resonated with you. It's like, you know, it's all, like we said, it's all the same thing. It's just like, how do you find your way of tapping into that energy and, you know, saying your truth with that?
I
And I
love
think
that. It feels like it sounds like your world got so much bigger.
oh yeah. It's like there's no like it eliminates these borders, you know, where it's like I'm working on all this K-pop stuff, but you know what? It doesn't matter that I'm not Korean. And look, there's something on one hand, there's something to be said about like you like the importance of learning about the culture and you know being informed by the people who have lived their life, you know, in that world. But that doesn't mean that you can't learn and dive in and find your own truth in that realm. It's like just because you've been painting with, you know, oil paints your whole career doesn't mean you can't suddenly pick up watercolors, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I love
So
that.
I don't know. I think it just it broadens everything.
Yeah, I love that. When I was young, I was definitely more narrow. Like, and part of it was like I thought I was right about everything. I think often I was, but I didn't like it. Like it was horrible actually. And and part of it was just sort of this narrow vision of things. And when I started seeing, like I started loving, oh my gosh, I love hearing someone else's view of the world or love seeing how someone else does it because it literally just expands my ability to see broader. And I remember someone did something, I was like, oh, I never would have done it like that. that's cool. I can do it like that now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can choose to do it like that now. Love it. Now I'll go back and forth and, oh, let me try something else now. It was literally that. It just felt like, oh, my view of the world got so much bigger. I got more options.
Oh yeah.
And love that. I mean, again,
It
so much
widens the
more,
whole
so many more
palette.
ways
And
than
you
it.
know, it's when you're young, you really there's almost like a assuredness and a power you feel in being just like so decisive. This is who I am, you know, even if it's changing every 5 minutes, you know, and like, you know, oh, I make R&B music, you know, or whatever it is. You know, I remember like when I first started like writing and producing my own stuff in high school, and I was like, oh, I make R&B. This is how my music sounds, blah, 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 you know, and then like, but then you find these things that challenge that. And it's like you said, it's like, oh, wait, I can do that, you know, like just your world just grows. Like you're seeing like with blinders and slowly
Yeah.
you start taking them off, you know, if you're hopefully you start taking them off more and more, you know?
Yeah. So interesting. And actually today, maybe it's just because I'm here too. This has gotten better. Or maybe I've just crossed a threshold. These are new glasses and
Mm-hmm.
they're progressive. So I can see all here, like I can see really far, read all that. Like the only thing I need are actual just reading glasses.
Mm.
But I got them because I was excited to be able to look over here and then read something without having to pull my glasses on and off. And so,
Mm.
and that's what the purpose of this is. What I found though, and again, I'm talking to you, I'm like, oh, maybe I've crossed the threshold, like the learning curve. I'm not sure yet. But what I found was, and this way I wasn't liking them. I went back to just doing this all the time. And I just put these on a little bit going, well, maybe it'll change. Let's just keep practicing. They say it takes a minute. But what I found was literally visually this very small space where I see clearly and a very small space where I can read. And then my peripheral got like, this is kind of, I can't, without them, I really can see over here.
Mm-hmm.
And here it just basically my eyes got really narrow, like my
Wow.
view. Yes. And I was like, this can't be good for anybody. Like, are they all like this? Because this is no bueno. I'd rather carry these around, put them on
Yeah.
and off. And I was noticing, like, I look in the distance and I'm like, that isn't super clear. And I take this off. I'm like, oh yeah, that's much better. And like I said, I'm giving them a little more time because this, you know, they say it takes time to adjust. But I was like, this cannot be good for my physical body or my emotional body, that literally my my range has gotten
Yeah.
tiny. I'm like, I don't want it.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah. But again, today's been good. So I'm like, oh, maybe the learning curve, like it's gotten
Have you
better. We'll
found that affecting, I don't know, I guess like how you're honing in on certain things in your day to day, like when you have been wearing them, like just your type of focus on things, like in your surroundings, or like has there been any
That's a good question.
distinct uh change with that?
Mostly I just get frustrated because I feel like I'm not seeing
Yeah.
clearly or things are a little blurred. Like it's like the minute, so teaching voice alignment, when people are first learning how to like literally, like it's like tuning up your guitar and then you strum, you go,
Mhm.
it's ringing. And when it's out of tune, it's like crank, crank, crank. It's like not, you don't get all that beautiful resonance, right? When I'm working with people and we're working on that alignment, they will all say it feels like it just feels like I fall off that balance point really easily. Like if I'm a little this way, I'm off. And I'm
Mhm.
like, yes, when you first start, it feels like a tightrope. But once you start doing it more and more, and you get more, you know where center is, it will be as big as this room, and it'll be
Mm.
huge. It's like I can run all the way over here, and I can get intense, and I'm still not struggling or hurting my voice, and I can be really intense and almost not yelling, but like, and I can go super gentle, and I can go over, and I don't fall off my balance. But it
Mm.
goes from feeling like a little tightrope to like a huge room that you can run around.
Wow.
And this feels like the tightrope where I'm like, if I just looks a tiny bit, I'm like, oh, it's blurry. I can't see. Like it just like I'm just
Well,
so out
I'm
of
hoping
alignment.
by the next session we do, it's the size of the room.
But our conversation is what made me think of it. I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
that so I don't want us. small-minded self. I
Yeah.
don't want a narrow vision. I do believe though that like with what Compass made your world bigger because you got very unified and
Yeah.
everything got congruent. At the same time, it is about that specificity of like, oh, I know what throws me. I know why I make this choice, and so I'm going to be very clear about it. You would know, like, if someone, working with you visually or working with you stylistically, knowing the deck that you built. If you were to show a stylist, hey, I'm going to this award show. Let me show you how I like to look. They're going to bring you a rack, and you're going to be like, love, 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 love.
Hmm.
As opposed to stylist goes, hey, let me bring you stuff I think you might like and what's trendy, and you're gonna be like, yeah, you hit. There's one thing I like because
Yeah.
you know who you are and how you want to show up.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's exactly what you said about songwriting. When you know your niche, you actually resonate, and more people resonate with it. You get bigger that way because you're clear about yourself and you're being really specific. At the same time, it opened up your world because all that specificity, you just like, yeah, I can show up fully. I can show up with clarity. I can be solid in my choices, confident in my choices. Really,
Hey,
it's the same.
the riches are in the niches, in all, emotionally, holistically, financially, everything, it really, it's important.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. As a producer, how has Compass affected like the way you lead a session, whether it be emotionally or creatively or beyond the music? Like, how has it affected you that way?
I I think having just the language and the context for so many more different things, like the how okay, like if I'm getting pitched someone to work with, or just connecting with someone to work with, seeing how they're marketing their stuff, their visuals, their styling, their content, I mean, of course, the music, as extensions of their story. I think that informs so much when you're going in the room,
I love that.
instead of just oh, we're gonna do this song and then they're gonna figure out how to market it. It's like if I can like pick up on, what's the narrative, what are they like, what are they saying with all this? What like
Yeah.
what is the
Look at
truth? What is their
you.
truth? And look, that's something that is, as an artist, is constantly evolving. It's like
Oh,
I, the pitch deck I made, I was so honed in on that when at the time, and that's changing now. You know what I mean? So it's like,
of course, it
and I and I
better.
and I think being aware and having that language and context, allows you to be okay with it changing, and to adapt in real time with it.
Yeah.
It's instead of like, I think, because just like finding it once is only one step, but if you just like stop walking,
Oh, oh, I bet his battery died. Because he was on his phone. I bet his phone battery died. Oh, Wyatt, you're amazing. It's awesome to see if he comes back. Oh, this has been a technical day, I'll tell you. It's so funny. This is a beautiful conversation. Like, absolutely beautiful. There we go.
hello, I don't know what happened.
Oh, I thought maybe your battery died.
No, no, no. Can you? Sorry, I don't know if it was my Wi-Fi or what. Where did it cut? Where did it cut me off?
It's okay. Oh, you were talking about how you're evolving, like
Oh
you're
yeah.
yeah,
You
and
can't just stop walking
absolutely,
after one step. It's
yeah,
like, and I think understanding that for yourself and for, another artist you're working with, and like seeing, okay, this is what they're saying, maybe this is where it's heading, and being able to
yeah,
gauge that with them too, and outside, like not just the music, but like, you know, the story they're
who they are.
telling, what they're going
Yeah,
through, whatever. Yeah, who they are.
I love that. Stevie, like, because that's so strong, as a producer and songwriter, you by seeing that you actually might be, either showing them something they weren't aware of yet or giving them like permission and confidence to say yes to a choice that they were seeing. So you're really helping them step into their own evolution with that, like by championing that, by seeing them. I mean, really, that's what we all need as human beings, and certainly as artists, we need to be seen. We're asking to be see me for who I am. So the fact that you are seeing them and then seeing those patterns, and then seeing where they might be going next, that's a huge asset. Like, I'd want you in the room with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want your trust, and I trust that. I want that vision. I want that. I want you in the room because you're honest and willing to share that also. You're not trying to, like, you're not being a yes person. You're actually being visionary and artistic
You're
with me. Like,
challenging it and asking questions about it, not just like, phoning it in.
yeah. I absolutely love that. Like you're the champion I want in the room. That's so great. And what you said about evolving, yeah, absolutely. It's like when you know yourself, you now have the tools to help yourself, and allowing yourself to grow. You're never like I've said, if you're vanilla, you're not going to be chocolate. If you're chocolate, you're not going to turn strawberry, but you're going to be 17 or 1700 versions of chocolate with each single and song and album and you got married and you had a baby, or you had a heartbreak, or like life happens, and that enables you to evolve. So, and you want to be able, and I think you can be less afraid when you know yourself that you can. He'll be back. He'll be back and we can wrap it up. That's hilarious. It has been quite the technical day. Snafooies.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know what happened, Wendy.
That's okay. It's been a wacky day.
Something's in the air.
Yeah.
But
It's been a
like you were
beautiful
saying, just the importance of growing and evolving and, being someone who can help challenge that. And I love, have you seen the video David Bowie where he talks about like when you're in the water and you want to go out a little bit deeper so that it's like going up to here, because that's like where the magic happens, like not where you're drowning, but where you're having to tread water a little bit, and find, kind of the unknown,
Yeah. We actually all thrive in challenge. Like if things weren't challenging, we'd all be bored.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean hard. I don't mean impossible. I don't mean uber frustrating. Just mean challenging. We all thrive in challenge and challenges, I've heard said, I like this perspective that challenges are actually angels rooting for you to beat them.
Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it.
Come on, overcome me. Come on.
Yeah.
Beat me. Come on, get over it. Like, I love that. The challenge is rooting for you to win.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's what you find at the other side of that, the aha, the creative breakthrough, the personal breakthrough, whatever it is, I mean, that's what gives you a rich life, emotionally and just like creatively and everything,
My son is 4, and he's begun to say often, I can't do this. I can't. And he's literally 4. And I've tried different ways to help him basically say, I'm like, dude, you're 4. Like, you don't have to know how to do. He'll say, I don't know. I'm like, you're 4. Of course you don't know how. You just try. You just go for it. And then he'll say can't, and I'll be like, boo, we got to get rid of that word. I'm like, it's not that you can't. You're just struggling. That's okay. I want you to try it a few times. And like today, he's like, I can't put my shirt on. And I'm like, dude, it's because it's upside down. And he's like, what's upside down? And I was like, where's this hood go? And he's like, on my head. I'm like, it's at your butt. And he laughed. And I was like, it's not that you can't put it on. It's just upside down. And then he was laughing. And like, just trying to show him that, like, I'm really trying to show him, like, play, explore, like the struggle is okay. You're not supposed to not struggle. Like, you
Well,
know?
you know what? You win or you learn, and it's like both outcomes are good.
Yeah.
It's like you
I
don't
like,
want to
I'm
have just
borrowing
one.
that
I mean,
one.
you want to have a life that's balanced between those things if you're lucky, like because you either you get that, you get it right, or you figure out, how to kind of widen your world.
Yeah, and ultimately then you win again, right? Because you
Yeah,
learn and you learn and you learn, you
that
win
is a
again.
win in itself too,
Totally,
so
totally. Oh, it's beautiful. I this is beautiful, and I hope that like what the audience takes from this conversation is that your compass doesn't disappear when things start working and you're winning. It becomes more important.
oh yeah,
Clarity, conviction, alignment are not beginner tools; they are lifelong ones. And Wyatt, your journey is a beautiful, beautiful reminder that the more you trust who you are, integrate who you are, the more powerful that your work lands.
absolutely. And I think that's why these programs like Compass are so important. Is you can't wait to get things. You can't wait to have your project blow up and get signed to figure like these things all are extensions of you at every level. It's like it's not like, oh, I need to, like you said, you can't just hone in on it now and then you get it right and then, oh, I can leave the compass in my bedside table. No, it's like it's like you got to be driving the car or the car's going to crash. And the bigger you get, the heavier the car is and the worse the crash is going to be, if you're not behind the wheel. So it's
You
like
know,
it's got to
I've heard
be
it said in a dream. I've heard it said if you're dreaming, like and you're driving, it's like, are you driving?
yeah,
Because if you're in the back seat, this is no bueno. You need to
absolutely.
be steering. One of my artists that I work with is very, very successful, long, long career, and is independent right now for the first time in a long time, and is making my favorite album they've made. Every piece of art coming out, the music video, like just every single thing. I'm like, this is the best stuff you've made in a decade.
Wow.
It's my favorite, and it's because it's all you. You are direct, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed." Like she didn't say overwhelmed. She's just like, "It's so much. I'm doing so
Yeah.
much because she's running the whole show, the team." I'm like, "You are steering everything. Every decision is yours. It's the best album, the best songs." Like everything that pops up on
And
social
that's not
media, I'm
a
like, "Oh my
coincidence.
god, this is
It's
amazing."
not a coincidence. It's like
That's
they've
right.
taken charge,
It's not a
and
coincidence.
and you know what? It's hard. I think just in the infrastructure of the music industry right now, it's like it's harder than ever to kind of take the reins. Like it's like most people, if they're lucky enough to blow up, it's like you've taken the reins and you've honed it on this thing and it blows up, and then getting that next step is really tough. It's like you get more voices in the room and everyone has something to say, and it doesn't mean that they're all wrong, but maybe a lot of them are wrong for you, and maybe
Yeah.
it's like things can get so confusing, and it's like having that compass, and just like having like honing in on your North Star and like, not forgetting how important that is, whether you are just starting out or whether you, got 1 million monthly listeners or 100 million monthly listeners. It's like just the importance of that at every level, is like it's going to be its own extension of you, regardless of how, big or on the way up you are.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Thank you. That's beautiful. Because we just always need to like to be able to turn back to yourself, reconnect, check in.
Hmm.
Where am I now? Where am I now? And can I? Well, I don't say tune out the voices because hopefully, ideally, your team are people that you trust, but everyone has their different opinions for a reason as well, and sometimes an agenda or sometimes based on, their history. But if you can take all of that and take what works for you and say, "Okay, yes to that, now can we tweak it? No to that,
Yeah.
and here's
It
why."
doesn't mean, it doesn't mean you can't take criticism or can't take another opinion, but it's like if it doesn't align with you, can you challenge that,
Yeah,
in a healthy way? Can you say, well, I can see why that might work for something else, but it's like this doesn't align with this value of mine, in whatever realm it's in, and just kind of being honed in enough to identify that and challenge it, you know, and land somewhere that makes sense for you.
I love that. Land somewhere that makes sense for you. I love that. Wyatt, thank you so much for joining and for talking. This is a gorgeous conversation.
Thank you,
excited
Wendy.
to see you. I'll see you in LA, and join us for the next Backstage Live.
Yes.
Coming up, well, join the mailing list and look for the next Compass Unplugged that's happening at the Village Studios. In this case, it's going to be March 12th, 2026. And yeah, thank you so much. And if you're curious about Compass and what it is, check out the website. The links are in my bio, wendyparr.com, all the good things.
Dive in, everyone. Thank you so much, Wendy.